Can you see well?
Yep. Okay. So, welcome back to another episode of Classic Conversations. And today I have
Yeah,
Danny.
you're gonna. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Sorry.
no, it's cool. It's cool. She's been we've known each other for like what 3 years now, but feels like
Yeah.
forever. And she's family to me. So thank you for doing this. Yeah. So how you doing?
I'm doing okay. Again, I apologize for the background noise. They're kind of racing. I'm in the Bronx right now.
In,
So, um,
is that is that Aaron?
yeah, yeah.
Come on, brother. Come on in
It-
here if you want.
No, it's okay. Yeah,
No, all right. So no, let's I always like to start off by asking, this pandemic has been really tough on all of us. So like what have
Yeah.
you been doing to kind of cope with the pandemic?
Work. Just work. I mostly did delivery jobs during this pandemic. I literally, that was like the most physically backbreaking work ever. It's worse when you're delivering groceries. So I would deliver groceries for Whole Foods in Harlem.
Nice.
And if you, I don't know if anybody's ever seen this in New York or when you see people deliver groceries for Whole Foods, it's these big black bins with the bright yellow lids. Like they hold a good amount. I have to stack those. I have to stack two of those, put a couple bags of groceries on top, and walk up a couple flights of stairs.
Oh geez.
One time I had, yeah, one time I had to do 7 flights because the elevator was broken.
Oh Jesus. I hope you got a good tip for that.
I hope so too, because with delivery jobs, they pay, yeah, especially if you do so much or if they schedule you like, oh, you're gonna be delivering for 6 hours this day or for 8 hours this day, it's great. But many of the delivery companies just take your tips. So
Shit.
yeah, like I've had like 500 paychecks and 600 paychecks, and then they did hazard pay, so that went up to 750 a week, which was fantastic. And they did that for a month and then stopped it right away.
Wow.
So I always tell people that if you ever have something delivered to you, whether it be your dinner, your lunch, or your groceries, because you don't want to leave your house or you cannot leave your home, don't do digital tipping.
Seriously.
Yeah, because let's just put it to you this way. So one company I worked for, if you did, let's say, a $20 digital tip, the person that you sent that digital tip to, that delivery personnel, would be lucky if they saw $5.
Oh, damn.
And on top of that, for that hour, instead of being paid 15, we'd be paid 13 because we got a tip. And if you no tips in 1 hour, they pay you 17. So some of us, including myself, were like, okay, screw this. I'm being swindled. And they don't give a damn. So I'm just gonna tell the customers. It's like, okay, you know what? Like they've asked me too, like, hey, are you okay? I'm like, hey, you know what? Just don't tip at all. And I explained it to them. They're like, we're so sorry. I'm like, don't worry about it. You're doing it because you need to do it. We're not mad. We're just telling you what they're doing with your money. You have a right to them.
Right.
So even if I order out, I try to make sure I have some type of cash tip to give to the courier, because I know at the company I worked for, we were swindled. So I'm weary of other delivery companies that are like, oh no, you get 100% tip. Our delivery drivers and our bikers get 100% tip. It's like, yeah, sure, okay.
Yeah, I can tell you working from Uber that even though they tell you that, that's not the truth at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can kind of definitely agree with you there. Okay, so I wanted to talk about your journey into like veganism. What prompted you, like what started that?
It started when I was a kid, but more so vegetarianism. Like when I was 7, I wanted to go vegetarian because I was losing a taste for chicken. And I didn't eat beef like that and much pork anyway. That was like special occasion. So it was mostly chicken as a kid. And I even told my mom, like, I don't want chicken anymore, especially after getting a chicken nugget from McDonald's that had like a string of like cartilage in it, which was weird. It turned me off. I told my mom, like, I want to go vegetarian. She didn't want to hear about it. She's like, you're going to eat meat or else you'll die.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. And it's common. A lot of families are like, hey, like, you need to eat it or you'll die. Because, you know, back on the island, you're vegetarian because of poverty, or you're vegan because of poverty, not because of personal choice. Now it's more so personal choice because more people have access to vitamins and stuff like that. So you could take your B12 shot, your B12 pill, and you're good. But as a kid, I did not want to eat meat as much. Even at family gatherings, I was eating salads with Thousand Island dressing because I just didn't like the texture. The taste was good. The texture just threw me off. And sometimes I'd be sick. So as I got older, I started meeting more vegetarians in high school, and they were showing me the different meals they could have that I could have that was vegetarian. I'm like, okay, let me try this out. My mom didn't want to hear about it. She's like, I don't want you going vegetarian. That's bad. You're not doing this. Then I got a cyst on my ovary when I was 15 because I had like my period 3 times in 1 month. It's not normal. They took me to a doctor. They said I had a cyst, and they said that stems from diet. What are you eating? And I told them. They said, okay, you need to see the nutritionist. We spoke to the nutritionist. She's like, okay, she doesn't like cow's milk. She likes soy milk. Okay, give her soy milk. Okay, she likes to eat more vegetarian options. I would encourage she eat more vegetarian foods because obviously that's her body telling her something. So my mom was like, okay, you're eating meat and eggs 3 days out of the week. Yeah. So I understood why she felt that way, but still I was like, eh. And then when I started working at a Trinidadian juice bar, I got more advice and support from the Rastafari that worked there and would come in for services, like for juices, stuff like that. They would say like, oh, well, you could try this, or you could switch this up for this and put this seasoning so it'll be good for you. Like I had support from them, which is why I still have a lot of love and respect for Rastafari. But I literally still didn't have support at home except for my grandma. So I started getting worse. I was getting hives out of nowhere. And like, it drove my mother nuts. She's like, why are you getting sick all the time? What's going on here? And so I spoke to the doctor. They said, we think you're allergic to pork. I'm like, oh no, she's not gonna like that. And I told my mom, I'm like, Mom, not only am I allergic to shellfish, but I'm allergic to pork too. Maybe I should go kosher. She's like, what? What do you mean you're allergic to pork? No, you're just allergic to that because it's a processed meat. You're not allergic to pork. She still tells people like, oh, I'm just allergic to processed pork. I'm not allergic to actual pork. It's like, lady, I had an allergy attack and vomited from wild boar meat. I don't think I should be eating pork.
Just so you know, those of you who are not familiar, in Hispanic culture, like Danny and I both are, pork is like a big part of our diet, and it's like a staple. So like if you tell your family like you're allergic to pork, whatever, it's like a big no-no where you don't eat pork, and it's a big no-no. So that's what she's talking about for those of you who are unfamiliar.
Yeah. And thanks for explaining that. And my mom was like, you can't have longaniza. I'm like, I'm okay with that. She's like, you can't have morcilla. I'm like, I'm okay with that. I'm not, I value my skin and my stomach. Okay. Like I'm not eating that anymore. My grandma had to step in. She's like, look, she's not feeling good. She's getting reactions. Let her not eat meat anymore. Like I just gave up meat in October of 2015 and I went pescatarian. And I started feeling better, like the weight, because I was overweight. The weight slid off. Like I lost weight, like, and I felt lighter and more energized, which was crazy. I'm eating fish occasionally because I was wary of it, of like who cooked the fish. I would only go to like Caribbean seafood restaurants because I didn't like any other cuisine that cooked seafood. Then 2017, I'm a vegetarian. And I was noticing that I was still getting sick. Like I limited my consumption of eggs because it raises my cholesterol. Because
Right.
I had Russian doctors that was like, you need to stop eating eggs. Your cholesterol is too high. This is ridiculous.
Oh, jeez.
I'm like, it's not everybody else. I'm like, no, everybody's different. For you, you should not be eating eggs. I'm like, whatever. So I was getting sick from dairy too. And I knew that would happen because I don't know if it happens to other people, but I've noticed in my family when we reach our like late 20s, early 30s, some people, they literally cannot handle dairy. Like they got to run to the bathroom or they have to limit consumption of it to the holidays. So I'm like, I think this is a probability for me because my mom can't do dairy. And like some of my other relatives on my dad's side can't do dairy. Let's see what happens here. I started getting sick from ice cream. And then I couldn't find my favorite. I loved blue cheese so much that I bought sheep's milk blue cheese, and even that messed me up, which was so bizarre. Because I thought lactose intolerance meant you couldn't have cow's milk. Apparently, it's the same thing with sheep's milk. I don't know why. If any scientist could explain that to me, I'm more than happy to hear it out. I miss blue cheese a lot, man. But I was literally confused. I was like, what the hell? Oh, crap. All right. So I heard about Veganuary. So that's a 30-day challenge for the month of January. You go full vegan and you see how your body reacts and you test yourself and you challenge yourself. So I was like, you know what? I'm vegetarian. Let me do Veganuary. And if by February 1st, I don't feel good, I'll go back to vegetarianism. If I feel fantastic after that 30 days, I'll continue until I don't feel good no more. I continued doing it after February 1st because I lost weight. I lost even more weight. I gained muscle. I lost fat and gained muscle. That was crazy. And I felt amazing. I was a ball of energy. Like I'm 4 years old running up and down the stairs again. Like that type of, yeah. So I'm like, I'm sticking with this. Screw it. I don't care. I don't care what it says. Granted, I have people try to come up to me like, oh, I don't agree with this. Like veganism is not for, it's not ideal. Okay, that's you. I've had people try to debate me about mock meats and the like. And I'm like, I don't care how you feel about it. I just want to eat my veggie burger down.
Nice.
Yeah, like mock meats, that's not the original intention. Those are for people who literally are vegan. It is for vegans. It's for those vegans that they miss the taste of meat, but they're vegan for ethical reasons. I'm vegan not only for ethical reasons, but for my health too. I'm happy with this. You want to eat pork, that's your business. You want to eat beef, that's your business. Like, I don't care. You want to buy soy, you want to buy a soy cheese and put it on your bison burger, go for it. I don't care. That's your plate. That's your mouth. That's your stomach. What I eat doesn't make you shit.
Pretty
basically.
Much. Yeah.
What I eat doesn't make anybody shit.
Pretty much, yeah. All right. So let's jump into your actually no, before we do that, let's jump into your what are some of your favorite dishes to cook?
Yeah. Let me see. I like doing vegan versions of Puerto Rican food. So yeah, I see the look on your face like, oh my God, yeah. I'd like to do jackfruit panin. And I tested out on my grandma, and when she had a look of elation, I knew it came out good. I'm like, okay, so if I'm doing vegan Puerto Rican food, I want my grandma to give her honest opinion because she's from the island. And I did that. I also do vegan arroz con gandules. One thing I did that I want to make again is vegan alcapurria.
Oh, never. Yeah, you should.
I made that. My grandma ate most of the batch. No cap. I was like, Nana, did you eat? She's like, yeah, I did. When you making it again? I'm like, I don't know. It took me 9 hours.
Yeah, that's a long process. Yeah, no. Okay, so you've done a little bit of MMA training. Now tell us how that came about.
That came about at the suggestion of someone we both know, Zaleska, because I'm a very active person. I like fighting, I like martial arts. I'm like, all right, let me just see. I'm gonna do the physical training, and then if I'm good, they'll introduce me to someone to do kickboxing. So I've been doing kickboxing, and I had to put it on pause recently because my wrists are hurt and also financial situations as well. So month of October, I'm just taking a pause to heal. But it was just my trainer, she's really cool. She introduced me to the guy who's teaching me kickboxing, and he was nice as well. And we did kickboxing. He's like, okay, did you ever do dancing? I'm like, no. He's like, you didn't dance? He's like, you sure? I'm like, dude, I stayed out of the salsa and bachata dance floor. I just sat in the corner eating cake as a kid. Okay, like they didn't bother. They said you're horrible. Get the hell off the dance floor. I sat down and ate cake. He's like, okay. I was very blunt with him. And so he taught me how, he taught me how to punch. And I see the background, man. Don't worry about it. He taught me how to punch. I was learning kicks. Those are one thing that I have to improve on is my kicks.
Yeah.
I have to improve on that. It's okay, man. Don't worry about it. And he was also teaching me punches like through numbers.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be easier for me to remember it, which was very helpful. And it was so much fun. Like I felt like I was breathing. If you understand what I mean.
Yeah, no, definitely.
You hold your breath for so long and then you're finally breathing. It felt great. So I loved going to the gym to work out my body. And I loved going there and teaching and being taught how to punch, how to kick, how to do Muay Thai kicks and stuff like that. And I still have to work on that, as I said before, because I'm very thick. I have big legs. So they said, look, you have powerful punches. You need to stop. You need to have more power. You need to like put more force into them.
Yep.
So
you do that with your legs.
Yeah. I'm sorry?
No, I'm saying you do it with your legs when you your punch, your follow through. It's all about your legs go a lot into it.
So with the leg kicks, I have to basically, it's like being, the Rock'em Sock'em robots.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like that. And I have to like do that and like kick. But I have to do the kicks like leveled or high up. And they have like a padding bag for me to kick. And my kicks they're good, but they could be better.
Mm-hmm.
Like I always feel there's room for improvement. I'm like, okay,
of course.
Where do I need to improve? This is always what I ask my coach and my trainer. Where do I need to improve? What needs improvement? What needs to be better? What do I need to perfect? Because I always tell them, look, be honest with me. When I screw up, just tell me.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't tell me, it's gonna keep getting worse. You need to tell me. So that's one thing. And it is hard, yeah, but that's the best part. You're challenging yourself, you're challenging your body, you're challenging your mind. You're looking up the best ways to like aid yourself. I practice shadow boxing in my shower. So it sounds amusing, but it's like I have some.
It's the way to get better.
Yeah. And I'll literally be blasting Native American techno music or native rap or Cardi B even for working out.
Or the theme from Mortal Kombat works really well. The techno theme from Mortal Kombat.
That too.
No.
I love playing music to work out because it helps me a little bit.
Yeah.
I also would highly recommend DDPY. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yeah, of course I have.
Diamond Dallas Page Yoga. I keep recommending that to people because it really helped with my back. Like my back was, I had lower back pain.
Mm-hmm.
And when I did the DDPY, he was showing you certain movements that elongates your back, that stretches your back out. The back pain went away, and I also got taller. So I was like, okay, I dig this. I like it. So I always recommend people like, yo, just try that app for free for a period of time and just do like the 1 year annual payment. So you don't have to worry about anything because it works, man.
Hey. Okay, so I ask my guests this often. So do you have any hidden talents that you would like to display? Like I said, these talents are purely optional. You don't have, you can just explain them. You don't have to display them. But do you have any hidden talent? Oh, you're.
Basically, I could twist my arm and bend it.
Oh, oh shit, that was funny. All right, cool. Yeah, no. So, okay. So if you were able to give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that be?
Go into a trade school and try to hustle sweets since you can't get a job. Because I couldn't get a job in school when I was in school. So I'll probably tell my younger self, like, hey, hustle sweets, like hustle cupcakes, hustle fried Oreos, so you have money. And also, once I turn 18, like go to a trade school, either welding or carpentry. Because I went into college just because of pressure. And they said, like, hey, we expect this of you. And it's like, I'm not liking this. Like, I can't take this. I couldn't stand the classroom environment. I did the best I could. I was like, this is confusing. And it wasn't the best thing for me, especially, but now I'm back in school and I'm doing it online and it's easier for me because I could just sit down, do the research I need to do my assignments, and I'm okay. But it's just, I was not ready for school. I wanted to work for a year before going to college. And family said no. They're like, no, we want you to go. But that's what I would tell my younger self, like, hey, hustle sweets and go into a trade school.
All right, and what are you currently studying?
I'm studying psychology.
Psychology. Yeah.
Yeah.
I took a few psychology courses in college. So yeah, in my undergrad anyway, but yeah, it's a tough field.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I just took it because I find people's brains interesting. I find how people think, how people view things, different perspectives interesting. So I'm the type of person that have no problem talking to a Republican or someone who, like, I've met people that like, I can't talk to a Republican. I'm like, okay, I understand. I've spoken to people who voted Trump and I've asked them like, oh, why did you do it? Oh, what made you feel this way? Oh, okay. Because I like to hear what drives people to feel the way they do.
Right.
Or what makes them feel the way they do. And based off what I'm talking to people, it's usually how they were raised, what values were instilled in them that they kept into adulthood. That they said, okay, I like this for me and I'm going to keep going with that. It's not for everybody, those values, but it's good to listen and understand why they feel the way they do. I always tell people, like, you have someone opposite opinions of you, just talk to them.
Yeah, just listen.
What they have to say, and like, you never know, they might listen to you too.
Yeah, and that's, if more people could learn that, this world wouldn't be the way it is. But anyway, that's a different conversation for a different time. What do you call it? No, so okay, when you're not like in school or working or whatever else you're doing, like what's a typical day off for you like?
Sleeping to rest my body. A little bit of exercise, cooking, especially. Like I'm looking up recipes, veganizing them. and reading as well. And also putting some time aside for Duolingo. I never heard of that app, right?
No, what is that?
The Duolingo is an app where you learn different languages.
Okay, so what are you learning now? What are you learning now?
I'm trying to learn Spanish. The Spanish they teach you in the app is the Spanish that's spoken in Spain.
Ah, yeah,
Yeah,
that is a good thing because yeah, this traditional Spain Spanish is different from what we learn, you know.
yes, it is very, very different. I was so shocked with how they said you're supposed to pronounce abuelo or abuela. I never used the B in the word.
Yeah,
I thought it was literally spelled AW, like, you know.
that's true.
And then I see it, I'm like, what's this? I'm a kid. And they're like, and my teacher, who's my fourth grade teacher, who's an Irish, he's like, it says abuela and abuelo. I'm like, I'm looking at him, I'm like, okay, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
No,
I showed it to my mother and my grandmother, like, oh, abuela and abuelo. I'm like, oh, the B has a W sound in Spanish? I was
yeah,
confused.
that's because of the yeah.
So, like, that's the thing. And also, if I speak Spanish, I've had people tell me you're not saying it right or you're not pronouncing it right. And I don't know if it's because the Spanish I picked up is the Spanish that is the way Dominicans speak it, or if it's because I'm an American speaking the Spanish I heard my Puerto Rican and Dominican relatives speak. So I'm just trying to pick it up and learn it so that everybody understands me across the board. Because I've had even Mexicans look at me, they're like, I don't know what you're saying. Like, just speak English.
That's funny. Okay. Keeping with that theme, like, do you have any like what's one thing that people would be surprised to learn about you that like a lot of people don't really know?
They probably would be surprised to learn how blunt I am about like social norms within communities. I don't know how to describe it. Like, I'm very forward on things that people don't like to hear, and it's a shock for them. So usually I'm quiet around new people because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. So I'll give you an example. I literally had people within our own community, like Puerto Rican and Dominican community, like they were surprised when I would say the truth about the rivalry. Like the whole things that Puerto Ricans and Dominicans don't get along. Like I had an ex, his dad, he was Puerto Rican, his dad asked me one day, hey, do you know why Puerto Ricans and Dominicans get along? And I'm like, because Dominicans on a more average level are more Black than Puerto Ricans, and that's why Puerto Ricans feel they're superior to Dominicans. It's all related to anti-Blackness. So I'm very forward with saying, because I look up the history of everything. I have books on the history of Puerto Rico. I look up the history of Dominican Republic, the history of Haiti, and even the history of Jamaica. And people just find it odd. They're like, oh, she's a sweet, nice girl. It's like, I'm gonna tell you the truth and you're not gonna like it, dude. Like, you don't want to ask me certain questions, man. And I've had friends who were shocked about the things I said, and I'm like, you asked. Yeah. I always, like, if I feel like I'm dealing with a sensitive person, I always ask first, like, are you sure you want me to answer this? You're not gonna like it.
Right. You ask them, and if they say yeah, then whatever response you give, that's on them.
Like I told my dad one time when I was 15, I love my dad. I have siblings from different women. And by the time my brothers came around, I was like, Dad, I think you should get a vasectomy. I'm 15 and I'm already telling the truth to my parents' faces. My mom didn't like it either, but she appreciated it after a while. She's like, okay, like I didn't like how she came out with it. She's like, I don't like how you tell it, but I understand it. My dad called my mom yelling. She's disrespectful. She told me to get it, to get a vasectomy. How dare she? She's my daughter. She's like, how many kids you got? She's telling me the truth. Like, let it go. And she hung up. She didn't care. But yeah, like, that's one thing that shocks people is when they see that I'm honest.
Hey.
That's when they're like, oh, I'm not asking her a question at all. I've had people tell me I'm staying away from you.
Nothing wrong with that.
Damn.
Honestly.
Okay.
All right. So I'm gonna put you on the spot here a little bit, and you're the first person I'm doing this with during one of my interviews. So let's see how this goes. This could either go very good or very bad for me. Is there any one question that you've always wanted to ask me that you've or something that you've always wanted to know about me, and now's your chance to ask it if you have one.
When I go back to the gym, would you be open? I could bring guests. So I could go back in November, but I've been wondering, like, would you be open to hit a jujitsu class?
Sure.
Okay.
That's okay. Well,
that's like nothing for me. I was like, if he's interested, I'll bring him, because the one I go to, they're way too accessible. They have an elevator and they're really friendly.
Yeah, no, and yeah, I'm always down for a workout. But yeah, so we can definitely do that. But no, any other question? I'll give you two, since you're like my first guest that I'm doing this with. So if you got another one, ask away.
All right. What made you be into wrestling?
I would say my earliest memories of pro wrestling were just watching it with my brother and my dad. My dad was a big pro wrestling fan. He and as he got sick, like later on, like when I was like five or six, because he died when I was 8. As he got sick, I used to watch him with my brother Carl. And one of the first memories I have of professional wrestling is Macho Man Randy Savage versus Ricky Steamboat from WrestleMania 3, which I call my all-time favorite match. And not just because it's the first match that I saw, but now getting older and having been on both sides of the business as a fan and as a wrestler myself, I appreciate that match for what it was. It's a beautiful story told in 30 minutes. And that's what professional wrestling is in its purest form. It's storytelling, it's art. And that's what a lot of professional wrestling is missing today, although AEW is trying to bring it back. But that's pretty much my professional wrestling memories. I after seeing that match, I was like, man, I gotta figure out a way to do this, and I did, and here it is.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, so before we wrap this up, is there anything that you want to plug or promote, or anything that you got going on that you want to let everybody know about?
Like, as of right now, I'm just taking a pause from everything just to heal these properly, because I'm gonna see if I can get into hand therapy so I could punch again.
Well, hey, listen, you have a punching bag right there in the apartment. Don't worry about it.
No, never making that mistake again. He decided to come with pillows. Like, oh, you could practice here. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. No, you could do it. And I hit him, and he fell back. And I think I don't know if I hit his face or his chest, but I know I punched. My fist slipped off the pillow, and it hit him. I'm like, dude, seriously, no. What did we learn today?
Oh man, no, I'm just kidding. Okay, cool. So this has been a very interesting and very eye-opening episode of Konversations. This has been a very interesting and very eye-opening episode, and we are out of time, and I will see you guys on the next one. Thanks for doing this, Danny.
No problem, hon. I'll let you know when I make jackfruit panin.
Cool.